it's Eric with Jazz Wealth Managers, where today I'm probably going to make somebody mad, but hopefully somebody else will get glad. The thing about it is that anytime you talk about somebody who has a massive following, you're going to have some people who, no matter what is said, that person is still right. But then you have other people who are always going to not like that person and say, well, good, anything they say is always wrong. Well, that's what I want to talk about today, and that is the man himself, Dave Ramsey. Now, the problem with Dave Ramsey, I'm going to go into a lot of different things. It's not that I want to take a jab at him specifically. Dustin's actually always been, good cop over here and, talk good about Dave. And it's not that I want to go in hard and talk bad about Dave. But I do have a few little things that I really want to bring up and talk about. So the first one is the big one. And really this is, I think, where everything evolves around. And that is Dave Ramsey is giving blanket advice to everybody, but then everything is always pushed towards his ELPs or endorsed local providers or his smart vestors. So when you look at everything that Dave says, everything is always more of a sales pitch to make sure that he is sending leads to them. I'll give you an idea of how that works because, to be honest with you, at one point, prior to Jazz Wealth, I had my own financial firm, and I actually was a smart vestor for a little bit, and I was paying Dave to get leads. And so the way that would work is anybody that was a Dave Ramsey fan that listened to Dave, he'd say, well, yeah, and go talk to my smart vestors, or however he says it. But the thing about it is they would go in and they would then fill out some information, and then boom, it would send out to 3 to 5 advisors in the area. Usually there was about 5 of us. And this was in a small little geographic area. And I was paying Dave $950 per month. So just to break that down a bit, to show you the amount of money that is being made, if you have 5 people in just one geographic area, that's almost $5,000. And that was covering just a little spot. He's got these all over the United States. So there's a lot of problem with conflict when it comes to things. And recently, Dave did a video, and in the video, he was talking about real estate. And that one really struck a bone with me because I think the frustration I saw with what he was talking about was, he said, now is the best time to buy a house, and now is the best time to sell a house. And honestly, that makes absolutely 0 sense. The only true thing that I could come up with on why he is saying that, now he tried to validate it in every single way, the only true reason for that is he's trying to make sure that he is getting leads to his endorsed local providers, because he has a smart vestor program for all the financial advisors, but then he also has his ELPs, which is like real estate agents, insurance agents, all these other people that he is always sending leads to, and they're paying for it. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to be a little bit geeky, being the guy that I am, and actually look at some charts and say, is actually this the best time to buy a house? Because yes, mortgage rates are going up. Everybody's really concerned. They're trying to figure out what to do. At the same time, people are starting to sell off their houses because they're getting top dollar for it. So let's take a look at what exactly is going on in the housing market and see if this really makes sense from what he is saying. So this looks really bad against Dave if I'm looking at this chart. But the thing about it is that this is only one chart. I want to be very transparent. I'm going to show you a few different years of this to really give you a good snapshot, because maybe it's not as bad as it looks. But the idea here, year to date, looking at this, May of 2022, this year, your orange line is U.S. existing home inventory. So from January till May, we're up 31.82% of home inventory. So that just means that there's a lot more inventory out there than there was in January. Well, as with everything, you got to realize that it's all about supply and demand. The more houses that hit the market, the more options there are, the more opportunity there is to maybe negotiate a deal, because not everybody's always going to just swoop these up. If we're having a lot of more inventory come in, that means that there's going to be more opportunity, and this thing could flip from a seller's market to a buyer's market, and things work in your favor in the future. U.S. existing home sales. So if we look here, for the year, it's showing through May, we're down 11.17%. So being down there, everything's starting to slow down a bit. So if things slow down, why jump in and rush into the house right this second, knowing there's a good possibility that things are going to slow down a bit, and maybe selling a house makes sense but buying a house on the other side of it could be not working in your favor. So let's look at the 1-year chart, give it a little bit better of a view. So if we're looking right here, your U.S. existing home inventory in July of 21, we're still below those numbers right here. So now jumping over to May, we're down 5.69% from July of last year. So we're still down, but not near down the amount that we were in January. As you can see, it looks like the bottom was really, January, February of 2022. And then our U.S. existing home sales, again, we're down 9.38% here in the past year. So that's still down quite a bit from what it was. Now let's look at the 3-year snapshot, because this is where I really want to give it a fair shake at what Dave said, but I still think there may be a slight issue with, saying that it's the best time to buy and sell. So this is a 3-year look. Home inventory is still very low. For 3 years, we're at 39.58% down. If we're looking here at the U.S. existing home sales, they had spiked. We're right around the same mark as home sales as we were in July 19. So looking at all of these charts, I think it's safe to say there's a good possibility that there's going to be a little bit of a housing slowdown. We have rates that are rising. We have people that are getting priced out of homes or home sales, because the idea is that the market is so high right this second for homes. And on top of that, you have higher interest rates. A lot of people just can't afford it. Maybe we're getting to a point where at the peak where it's got to come back down a little bit so people can actually afford a home. So it's a great time to sell a home. As far as buying, all depends. I just don't think that is the best advice. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch more FinTips videos, click here. Be sure to like and subscribe also.